Hi, this is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. And this is Tristan, he's a Corgi. And this is episode 89, I think, of Conversations with a Corgi. And today we're joining you from lovely Provincetown, Massachusetts. You can see the bay behind me here. It is a warm and sunny day on this 4th of July Eve. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is yoga with your dog. I have been a yoga teacher for over 10 years, a practitioner for over 35 years, and I have been doing yoga with Tristan since I got him 7 years ago. And what that means is not for my dog to be doing dog yoga next to me, but for me to be joining with Tristan in yoga poses for humans. And this is a fairly unusual practice. Not many people do it or know about it. I've taught many classes in it with big dogs or small dogs, and there are ways to make a variety of poses to practice yoga with your dog. And I don't have a cameraman, so I can't actually show you them today, but I can talk to you about some of the more fun ones that Tristan and I like to enjoy. The first one that's easy to do if you can do tree pose is to do tree pose holding your dog if he weighs under 20 pounds, or if you're brawny, maybe a 35-pound dog. So if you need to prop yourself with your elbow against a wall while you're holding your dog and bringing your leg up into tree pose, you can do that to make Corgi in a tree pose. This is one of Tristan's favorite poses. And standing on one leg while you're holding your dog really does affect your relationship with your dog. You learn a lot more about your balance, and you will notice how your dog adjusts his balance to be in sync with your balance. So it's a really interesting experience, and I encourage you to try it even if you don't regularly do yoga. But of course, if you do yoga and you're a good yoga practitioner, maybe you have a Chihuahua, you can do a variety of tree pose hand positions while holding your dog with one hand. Tristan also likes to wrap around me. Maybe I can do it right now and show you. He likes to put his back end around me and support his hind legs on my buns. So I can do a variety of yoga poses holding him like a little loaf of bread, and with him resting his feet on my butt, I am able to do things like warrior with him. The other interesting thing that I like to do with Tristan, because he's so little, I can do child pose and have him really like right underneath of me. Uh-oh. We have a Cape tick under our armpit. We'll have to deal with that later. We have a continuing tick saga. When I visited my sister a week ago for the Philly Corgi picnic, I was of course awakened by a tick crawling on my arm in the middle of the night because, oh, my bed had been used by a cat prior to my arrival. So anyway, some of the other poses I do are child pose with Tristan underneath of me. He's pretty bendable, so I can also do child pose with him on my back as I'm laying face down on the floor with my knees bent under me. If you have a large dog, you can do child pose with them standing across the top of you. You can also do things like tree pose holding the front legs of your dog so he's up on his hind legs if you've got a really big dog like a Doberman. And some of the other poses I like to do with Tristan, of course, are corpse pose, where you're laying on your back on the ground and you just have your dog resting either alongside of you, like Gwen can do with her dog, Mila. She's a big pit ridge mix. Or I like to have Tristan laying on my heart when I'm in Shavasana so that we are connected in that way. Some of the other poses you can do with your dog, if you have a little guy like a Chihuahua or Tristan, you can do thread the needle with your dog under your arm as you're face down like this, turning your head. You can put your dog under your arm and connect with him in that way as well. And I like to always keep a hand on my dog when I'm doing yoga with him. That helps keep our connection and helps us work together. And one of the things that happens that's kind of a miracle of doing yoga actually with your dog is your breathing will come into synchrony, and you'll come into heart coherence with your dog in a way that's not always easy for people. But if you're doing yoga with your dog, you're in a meditative state, and really just laying on the floor on your back with your dog on top of you, even if it's a fairly big dog, 40-50 pounds, can really help you sync up your breathing with your dog and synchronize your heart rates and come into heart coherence, that space where you and your dog are deeply connected and you feel like you're one being. And that's what we all want with our dogs, those moments of connection. Some of the other poses I do with Tristan, we do a variety of warrior poses holding the dog. I love to do dancer pose, where you reach back for your hind leg while you're standing on the other leg, with Tristan wrapped around me with his legs resting on my butt. And I really wish I could show you these, but I don't have a camera person, because it's pretty interesting to see how the pose changes holding a dog. And you have to be a pretty strong person to do balance poses holding your dog in terms of your whole body balance, not just holding him in your arms, because it does really shift things to the side. So you have to be pretty practiced at adjusting your weight and your position slightly to offset the balance of your dog. One of the things that Yoga with Tristan has done for him is he has learned how to really concentrate and focus, because especially in balance poses, the least little shift of his weight can make me a little teetery, which is frightening to him and not so great for me. I mean, obviously you can always just put your foot down and catch your balance, but it has helped him really kind of find a quiet place in himself too, just like yoga does for humans. So it's a great idea to try doing some yoga with your dog, and like I said, a good place to start is Shavasana, where you're just laying on the floor. Another common position that people know from yoga, is this another tick? Nope. Is sitting on the floor with your legs crossed in front of you. Usually I like to sit on a little pillow or a block to support my back a little more. And Tristan is the perfect size to sit in the cradle of my legs when I do that pose. And again, a lot of people use this pose just for basic meditation. So that is another way that you can bring your dog into yoga with you. And sometimes what I'll do with a big dog is, when I'm sitting with my legs crossed in front of me, just bring his head over onto my lap. Sometimes you can tuck their buns against you and cradle them so that they're in front of you, so that you really are doing what we see in acro yoga and some of the shared poses with humans. You can really bring your dog into some of those poses to help you balance. I love doing half moon pose with a dog. It's not one of my favorite poses, but you're standing on one leg, reaching down with the other hand, with the other leg out to your side and the other arm reaching for the sky. It's a pretty hard balance pose, but if I have a big dog like Mila or Tristan when he's laying quietly, just that little kind of proprioceptive feedback from having that dog next to me can really improve my balance and make that pose a lot better. And if you do have a dog like Gwen's dog, who's pretty quiet, you can actually bring her under your leg and use your leg to tap her lightly to help improve your balance in some of these harder poses. So it's really just a wonderful experience to do yoga with your dogs. And just an FYI for those who have cats, you can do all of these same things with your cat, holding your cat, particularly if you have a little sized kitty, 8 to 12 pounds. And your cat likes being held, but a lot of cats prefer to be on the ground, so I encourage you then to do poses. There's one called puppy stretch that's sort of like child pose, where your upper body is up so there's a little bridge under you. That's a great one to do with a cat, and often when you're doing work with cats, you'll find them purring while you're in the poses, and cats have been researched to find that they modulate their purring to bring energy to certain organs in the body that have different vibrational frequencies. So doing yoga with your cat can be super beneficial for your health in ways way beyond just simply doing yoga. So I encourage you, if you have a cat especially, to try doing yoga with your cat. And of course you can do things like after you do Shavasana, where you're laying on your back with your dog on you, you can also just lift your hips up and support them with a yoga block and have your dog resting on you while you're doing what that pose is called, supported bridge. So that's another opportunity for your dog to be resting on your heart and for you to find heart coherence with your dog in a yoga pose you're sharing with him. And again, if you have a big dog, they can just rest their head on your chest. And a lot of dogs will do what people call downward facing dog pose, but it's not really. It's puppy stretch, where they bring their front legs out in front of them like a cat. And a lot of dogs will do that stretch if they are bigger dogs and they're doing yoga with you, because they're so relaxed and they go into that meditative place with you, and that is one of their tissue release signs, and it's also an invitation to play. We know it as a play bow when they are on the floor next to you, and of course with you on the floor in a position like puppy stretch that looks like a play bow, they of course want to interact with you. I've also done poses where I have, like if I'm in quadruped, where I'm on all fours, I can just rest my hands lightly on my dog's front paws, or on Tristan's front and back paws in front of me, and join him in a pose that way. So if you have any experience looking at acro yoga on or partner yoga poses on YouTube, just look at those poses and think about some ways that you can integrate those poses with your dog. Tristan's really little and he's really relaxed and he's not too nervous. He's been doing yoga with me pretty much his whole life. So I am able to do things like lay on my back with my hands and feet up and balance one of his paws and feet on each of my feet and hands, so I'm holding him up and he's just standing on me. So poses like that, sometimes it's nice to have somebody to help you if your dog's not very relaxed, to just lift your dog and place him there. But it's such a great opportunity to find a connection with your dog and to do something fun for both you and your dog that will bring you mental, emotional, cognitive, and physical health benefits for many hours and days and weeks after you do this experience. So think about doing yoga with your dog, and if I ever find somebody to hold the camera, maybe this week, since I'm here with a lot of people, I can find someone and we can demonstrate some of these poses for you. So this is Sally Morgan in Provincetown, Massachusetts, where I am for this whole week, and this is an episode of Conversations with a Corgi, and we will be doing them at erratic hours because I'm on vacation and my schedule's unpredictable. But hopefully at some point when I'm here, I'll be here again in 2 weeks, I want to show you the wonderful thing we have at this particular place where I stay, where the dogs at low tide's at 2 or 3 o'clock this week. At low tide, 30 dogs are running and playing ball and interacting with people and each other in the most remarkable ways. It's just a wonderful experience for the dogs and the people to be here in Provincetown playing on the beach when the tide is out. So hopefully we'll get to show you that later in the week. So think about doing some yoga with your dog, even if you don't do yoga yourself. Find some positions laying on the floor and ask your dog to join you. It will help you find a deeper connection with your dog. Of course, I'm dropping my dog. He's so relaxed. It'll help you find a deeper connection with your dog and perhaps begin to experience that idea of heart coherence, where you and your dog are connected in a very deep way and your body rhythms line up in synchrony. And you can find out more about heart coherence at the Heart Math, like mathematics, Heart Math Institute. You can look that up on Google, and we have had many talks about heart coherence, and we will have many more in the days to come. And I have talked to my friend about possibly doing some flower essence talks from his beautiful floral yard here, but that's going to require a lot of effort, so we'll see if I can do that later in the week. All right, thanks for joining us today, and have a great 4th of July with your dog. We'll be here tomorrow to talk about thunder shirts, T-touch wraps, flower essences, rescue remedy, etc. to use to help your dog with fireworks. And you can find out more about that on my sister's website, www.drjudymorgan.com. And you can look back at my wraps on Conversations with a Corgi on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day and try some yoga with your dog.